And a lot of this started with the Trump administration announcing brand new USCIS. That's the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services. New guidance that would largely end the practice of allowing migrants on temporary visas to stay here in the country while they wait for green card approval. What does this mean? That if you are applying to come to the United States, you do not get to stay here, and then we just trust that you're going to show up for your hearing or your special day, whether you are accepted, rejected, or whether there are additional questions as the United States receives information from your prior government, or in the case of Somalia, because we used Kenya to vet people from Somalia for a number of years. Now that practice has also been answered. Things do trickle in. So now what they are calling the original intent, according to USCIS Director Joseph Edlow, of immigration law. Spokesman Zach Kaler argued the previous system incentivized loopholes, made it harder to remove denied applicants who overstay. That's the summary given by the Daily Caller, who did a pretty stellar report on this. The USCIS says, quote, "From now on, an alien who is in the U.S. temporarily and wants a green card for permanent residency must return to their home country to apply, except in extraordinary circumstances. This policy allows our immigration system to function as the law intended, instead of incentivizing loopholes." So there are a couple of pushback little miniature lawsuits that are being thrown forward here. The, quote, Nationality Act of 1940 required all petitions for permanent residence to be made at a courthouse inside the U.S. That's what some of the counter arguments are claiming. That doesn't make any sense, though, because you still will show up to a courthouse to make your case. The documents are still filed in the courthouse. That doesn't mean you have to still be there. And the way that you can disprove this is, are there any cases in which an immigrant filed these bits of information via a lawyer or over the phone? And the answer is yes. What year? 1941. So for all of the Twitter and social media lawyers who will search something on Grok or ChatGPT or whatever it is you're using and say, oh, I have found out actually this law. I remind you yet again that FDR literally sent his lackeys around during his administration burning boxes of federal precedent so that he could say the law is whatever I want it to be. So we're still scraping some of that stuff back together. Now, that aside, there's some other information here. According to Axios, but cited by Reuters, I love secondary and tertiary little journalistic reporting. The United States is temporarily moving immigration lawyers to the Department of Justice to speed up a lot of the legal processes for immigration in the United States. So Reuters is saying they can't independently and immediately verify the report, and it's not entirely clear what moving immigration lawyers to the Justice Department would look like. But what does all of this mean? It means that in the United States, there is just court backlog. The courts are stopped up, jam-packed with anybody, whether they're a citizen, whether they're not a citizen, whether they're a legal resident or they're not, whether they came here legally or illegally, you can sue. It's the modern day duel. There was a time in the during the Revolutionary War, which is why George Washington banned it, and it pissed him off greatly. But also afterward, and then was one of the things that crippled the French, one of the many things, as well as the Confederates, was the practice of dueling. And the idea that anyone could just challenge anyone to a duel, and you ended up getting a lot of young, talented officers shot over honor and being rather sexually excited. That's as young men are wont to do. And so the government said, you know what? No one is just allowed to just duel anyone anymore. That's not allowed. Now, France kept that around until the release of the first Star Wars movie, along with the guillotine. That's another story for another time. But lawsuits are that version for today. We have more courts. The immigration system was never even supposed to have courts. It wasn't. It was supposed to be a judicial matter by the United States. And if you weren't a citizen, you could just be told to get out. The Secretary of State's office used to have dedicated individuals for doing just this. But we've created an entire bureaucratic system it's the legal term for this would just be festering spaghetti. Laws weaving in and out of other laws coated in a sauce of your taxpayer dollars. So That's going to be interesting in the next couple of weeks because, yet again, the appellate courts and the Supreme Court is going to have to get involved. Now, again, the Supreme Court is supposed to be ruling on a small clause about the 14th Amendment and the President of the United States and the subject of the jurisdiction thereof. I don't think that's going to do it. I don't think that's going to cut the mustard.